Good evening, Coach.
Yeah, good evening.
Yeah, this is Isaac.
Yes, Isaac.
What I just wanted to ask,
Mm-hmm.
even with this method,
What?
with this method of trying to find where to enter the trades, do you also need to generally look at the trend?
No. In this method, you don't look at the trend because that's what you're trying to get at the beginning of the trend. Hence, chances are you'll not see the trend
Of the market. Is that
yes.
time in
yes.
the way that you look at the whole holistically the trade?
That's what I'm saying. Holistically, you will not see the trend because chances are we're trying to get at the ground zero of that trend. We will not see that trend.
So it's more like the price action. You are actually working on the price action.
Kind of, but you're working on price action. You're working on the market movements or the structure at the point where the market is either shifting from consolidation back to a trend. So it's either a continuation or the beginning of a new trend. Okay, so you're in that transition between a consolidation into a trend. So you're not, the market structure might not help you much, but if you look at it very well, you'll see the market is trying to make a shift. Yeah, but we don't, that's why we don't use, because the market is trying to make a decision, we don't use the structure. We use this this strategy, which has been tested and has been found over time to be fairly highly successful. See, unlike what we were doing in scalping, we would look and eyeball and make a decision based on what we are seeing. But here, we look and make decisions based on the movement of the behavior of the candles before the start of the trend. Behavior.
I'm just trying to wrap that around, you said, there are certain trades that could go on for days. Mm-hmm. I'm just trying to wrap my head around that because all these like price actions, the ups and downs, yeah. Mm-hmm. How are you able to tie that with that long-term trend?
How are we able to tie it with long-term?
I mean, that you'd enter a trade, and there are times when your trade will take a day or 2 days. Mm-hmm. How accurately does this predict that trend will continue for that day?
And that's what I'm trying to explain, that that is why this strategy, some people have taken their time, they have been backtesting and trying to understand these long trends that happen in the market. How do they happen? When do they start? And in their backtesting, they found something common that happens to most of them. It's like saying world athletics sprinters, what is it about people who sprint 100-meter dash, and can do less than 10 seconds? what kind of training do they go through before they can actually break those records? Well, if you look through historically, you'll find that those are guys who have done a lot of weightlifting, power, whatever training in their legs, you know. So you'll find a similar trend of what they have done. What they've done, chances are, they didn't spend all the time just sprinting. They spent time lifting weights, carrying heavy things, and so on and so on, in order to prepare them for it. And then maybe sprinting, you know, doing a lot of sprints, and they become better and better and better. So similarly, what we are saying is, for those who have studied trends that have been long, they found that on average, most of them had something similar before the trade actually, before the trend began. They noticed that there used to be like a little ascending somewhere or a little descending, and then the market would turn, then the market would break, and usually it would come back and retest it, and then zoop, then it goes. So it is in the study of those that some traders realize, okay, for us to catch this move at the beginning, we need to identify the current low and the current high. We need to identify when the market is ascending, because once it ascends and turns, then it comes and breaks the current low. Usually it doesn't come back, it comes back, breaks it, retests, and goes. So I don't know if I've answered your question, but basically what I'm saying is, yeah?
I think you're answering it, and I probably think it might get clearer as we go on.
Okay.
Just a subset to that question is there any correlation with you see, when it breaks and then comes to retest, the size of that break, has that any correlation with anything, whether it's the trend or what type of break you'll have after that?
No, but we know that if the candle is big, again, this is just basic price action. If the candle is big, it means there's a lot of buyers or something, you know. And when there's a big wick, it means there's pressure in the contrary. So those are things that from our fundamentals of Forex can give us an idea of what's happening. Yeah, but it is not the holy grail. You know, occasionally you'd see a big candle, unusually big candle, and that could mean something totally different from what we're expecting. So yes, the answer is yes, it could mean something, but as far as our strategy is concerned, some candles, we might not know what they mean. But as regards the part where it is ascending, a part where it touches the current low, the part where it breaks the current high, and then comes back and retests it, if that happens in that sequence, then we know that the market actually is ready to go for a long time.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? So my suggestion is you guys don't panic. We've been through this before, but this is now, basically you are near the end, the line. I've shown you now the entry. Many of you were even asking the entry the first day we started the class. You didn't see the entry. The second day you are willing, you know, you're actually anxious, eager. Where does this lead to? Well, here it is. It's here now. This is how we enter, buy limit, sell limit. But there are conditions to those. Now, in our class tomorrow, by tomorrow I mean Wednesday, we will now go to the market and we'll see the same things I've talked about right now, but now you'll see it playing live. So you'll have a chance to actually, you'll have a chance to do it.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello, Coach.
Hello.
Okay, hello.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, I'm Patrick.
Yes, Patrick.
What I wanted to ask is that in swing trade, do you need to click many times as we do when you are scalping, or you just click once?
No.
When you are buying or selling?
No, for this one, you're only entering one trade.
Okay.
This is not scalping.
Okay.
Yeah.
And sometimes I don't know how do you guys time when to enter the trade, because there's a time when you enter trade, you find that where you maybe this one maybe I'm somehow irrelevant, but maybe you can just answer me. Like when you are doing scalp, sometimes you enter trade, then you find where you put your stop loss is very near to where the candle is coming. Candle is going up, so it will trigger first. And sometimes you click maybe buying, and you find the where you put stop in tech price is very far away.
So that is why we have a scalping class, and that question will be very relevant. It's very relevant in the scalping class, but in this class, then it is not, because we are looking at a completely different strategy. Hence, what you asked might not even quite apply.
Okay.
Okay. So hold that thought, but ask it in the scalping. Are you in the scalping class?
Yes.
Okay. So then you ask that in the scalping class.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Coach Vincent here.
Yes, Vincent.
I'm just looking at that item 3 on the presentation. When the break is too big, entry point is far away. Far away from?
When the entry is too big, and
when the break
far
is
away,
too big.
Yeah, far away from the retouch, retest. When it breaks, and now the market has to come back and enter your trade. Remember, it's a buy limit or sell limit.
Yeah.
Before you enter the buy limit or sell limit, the market must break your most previous low or most previous high, right?
Yeah.
So if it breaks and it goes down, 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 chances are it might not come back. Okay, it is unlikely it might come back, or it might come back and make so many other impulses and in between, hence that point becomes irrelevant by the time it gets back. In other words, it has not worked out as was envisioned.
Okay. Yeah. So the entry point will be far away from the current high or the current low, depending on the direction.
Yes. So the entry point, what will happen is, see, like the chart we have right now currently, like on the right-hand side, if that point Y, if that market breaks with double the strength so that it's not coming there, it goes up to there, chances are it might not come back all the way up to point Z for it to enter the trade. It might go down, come back about halfway there, and then lose steam and keep going. That means the trade did not come back to trigger you in. So it did not fulfill our requirement. And so you just let it go.
Okay.
Okay, let me just ask. when you say it's too big, do you mean it doesn't come back to retest or what?
Yes. If it is,
okay.
Yes, it can come. Well, sometimes it doesn't have to be too big. It can just be a break, okay? And instead of coming back to retest, it just forms another impulse and it keeps going down. And they're not too big. It keeps going down, and never comes back. Or it comes back and still never triggers your entry. So these are all possibilities. Remember, it is just higher probability, okay? So when this happens, it doesn't have to come back and trigger you. It can just be a normal impulse, a second impulse, third impulse, keep going and just go up a little bit and then go down without ever coming back. And that is okay. But in the case where it actually comes back and triggers you, then chances are, now it's obeying the rules we've set up, chances are this trade will actually go for a while. Why? Because research or statistics have shown that when that happens, these kinds of trades go for a while. Backtesting. So,
right, coach. Well, just to add also, sometimes it actually comes back, but instead of going in the direction where you anticipated, it actually takes your trade out when the impulse is too big. And Vincent, you're right. So when you're saying that the entry point is far away from the current high, that is exactly what we mean. So the distance between where the impulse that has broken has reached, let's say it's the current high or the current low, is too far away from the most recent high or the entry point where you're supposed to enter. So from the back testing, what it has shown is sometimes if it comes back, it might come back all the way and remove your stop loss. Because for this strategy also, the stop loss we use is pretty tight. It's not like the scalping days where we have 30 pips. Stop loss here typically is 14 pips, 15 pips. So those big breaks that go several pips below the or above the entry point, sometimes when they come back to trigger you, they can come back and change direction again and give you a loss. So they don't play very well.
Okay.
Okay. Any questions?
Sorry, just one last one. When you have a large break, you say that the entry point is 2 pips above the current high or the current low, or let me say the break line. When the break is a large break. But when the break is a medium break, it's at the break line. I'm just wondering, what is the significance of the 2 pips in a large break?
First, before I answer it, I guess your guess might be as good as mine. It's a bit of common sense, in the sense that if the break is very big, it means there's a lot of momentum, a lot of pressure down. And if there's a lot of pressure down, your guess, as good as mine, is there might be very little counter pressure up. So what you do, you're almost helping the trade. Like, okay, instead of coming all the way up here, well, now I want to enter the trade. It's easier for this market to probably come up to here, and then we go down. Why? Because there seems to be pressure from above. That's why we have the large break. If there's a large break, you add 2 pips. And the 2 pips are essentially to allow the counter pressure to enable you to enter the trade. I think like today, Ken, that's what happened in today's trade, yeah? It didn't have pressure. In fact, let me see if I can share with you guys. It was not a big break, but the trade has not entered because it broke, it went down, and it has come back, and it has not even touched it. So hence, there is no, okay, I don't know if I can show it, but yeah. But do you get the point, Vincent?
Okay, I just had this idea in my head that if it's a medium break, that's when you need that 2 pips buffer, so that when you're entering the trade, you're entering at the close of the medium break at the start of the, I don't know, at the start of the next break, which is likely to be 2 pips above the break line. As opposed to when you have a large break, because the large break in my mind signifies, as you're saying, there is pressure downwards.
Yes.
If it's say you are selling, there's pressure downwards.
Yes.
So you enter it at if you enter it at the break point, and because of that large pressure going down, if you're selling, then it's a correct one. If it's medium, you want to allow yourself the opportunity to be, let me say, to be more sure, to have a larger pressure. I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking the other way around.
Yeah. No, I like your line of thought, and that is good. The only thing, you see, when people are doing back testing, they look at these exceptions, they look at the conditions and so on and so on. And based on the back testing they've done, they found that often when you don't add the 2 pips, chances are the market would not trigger. Hence, even a medium, what you're suggesting might not even occur. But again, that is as a result of back testing. Okay, I'm trying to show you something here. Do you see this?
Yeah.
So I missed the entry. Why? Because there was a break here. The entry was there. Okay, I missed the break there. So this was more like an average. It's not, it's not like big or small. But if I had put 2 pips entry there, I would have been triggered in the entry. But I didn't. Why? Because trading rules did not say that this was a large break. Okay. So you can imagine I just missed that opportunity by almost like half a pip. So, but I understand what you're saying. The back testing results have shown that in that you have a higher chance of entering or getting your trades if you add 2 pips. Okay. And but that doesn't mean that you, as you start back testing, eventually, once you get comfortable with the strategy and you start back testing and you actually try what you just said and you find it has a higher success, nothing stops you from actually, saying, guys, I think this is working. Just like we were doing in scalping. So eventually it will give you a chance. Once you're comfortable with the strategy, you'll have a chance to now play with it. That's my thought.
Okay.
Okay. So maybe, I think our time is almost running out. Maybe we just need to sleep over it. And then tomorrow, when we have our next class, in the meantime, you'll have the recording, everything. But when you have our next class, hopefully you'll have more questions Okay, you can't know it all at once. Remember, this has taken us a long time to actually get it. But at least for you guys, by Christmas, in the next 1 week or so, you know, we can say, yeah, you guys have got it. In about a week from now. So we are in no doubt. It took us longer because we had nobody to hold our hands. But you guys are lucky because, you know, we're here. We have taken the time, we've understood the strategy, and we're just sharing with you what we, you know, so it becomes easier when somebody has chewed it, makes it easier for you to understand. So you will be comfortable. You will be comfortable once you reach the end. The only key that I must stress is practice, 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 practice. No pain, no gain. You will not wake up one day and know these things if you don't practice. If you assume that each time you'll just be asking where to enter, where to enter, where to, no, it doesn't work like that. You also have to put effort. And if you put effort, your effort will be seen because then you'll even understand better. Yeah. So anyway, any last question? Somebody burning question? Really need an answer?
Maybe it's just a need, maybe you could address it in the next class. I think this whole thing about the pips and you know, whether you're adding to putting 2 pips or 3 pips, maybe you could explain it. Okay. If not now, then the next class.
Yeah, but that is very simple and straightforward. All I said is, if you have a large break, again, if this line here, the green line, is our, for lack of a better word, the current low, okay?
Yes.
If this candle, maybe it was one candle, if we had a candle that was this big, don't you agree that's a big candle?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so if it's a big candle, then what you do, you don't enter there. You actually measure 2 pips down, maybe somewhere there. That's where you enter, you put your entry. Is that clear now?
And now I can see why.
Now you can see why, see?
Yeah.
You give it a minute, a thought. You see, this thing has so much power, so much force. Chances are the next candle might even be big or something, or even losing power. But imagine now, for you, your interest is here, your entry is here. Okay, you want it to become all the way there. No, but you have to help the market a little bit. You know, so now when it comes back, it can only come a little bit there and you're in, even if just a week only, just a week, so that you are in the trade. See, I told you guys here, I lost, rather not lost, but you know, had lost an opportunity. Why? Because it is, I don't know how many pips, but it's not my fault. It is the trading rules. Meshach, you okay now? Hello?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. Now just take some time and think it over. In fact, even the logic, you know, the more I thought about this, it actually makes logical sense.
Yes, yes, I get you.
You get the point? Yeah.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Yes, we can hear you. All right. Any other questions? Remember, you have the videos. You can go back.
Okay. Okay, so basically when you put like 2 pips, you're just saying, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
So I'm saying when you say, it's like when you said 2 peaks, is that you're allowing the break some time.
You're not allowing the break. You're actually moving your entry lower to enable the candles to come up and trigger it. So yes, kind of like, you're kind of right, but we're not allowing the break. We're only allowing the candles to have an easier time reaching it again, reaching that, that point, instead of going all the way up. Why? Because at that point in time, clearly there's a lot of pressure from up. If there's pressure from up, it's very hard for, you probably need an equal and opposite pressure to hit back all the way up. Okay, so chances are your new pressure will be small, will not be big. Okay, yeah.
Hi, Coach. Maybe also if I can throw in something there.
Yes.
Yes, on this, perhaps it may not be making sense as such now. Why? Sometimes you will want to, the rules say that you place your limit order right at the current low or the current the current high. The reasoning behind it. Remember, we are talking about once there's a breakout, it will need to come back and retest. When it ordinarily it's supposed to come and retest the previous low or high, as the case may be, depending on whether you are going up or down. So when it comes to retest, there is a presumption that you want to get into that trade just at the point at which the retesting will come back, so that you minimize on drawdown. I'm sure, and I hope that we understand what a drawdown is. Drawdown is that floating loss that you incur while the trade whenever you jump into a trade. So the nature of this strategy is that it is designed to minimize on the drawdown, and that's why it just needs to come and touch it, and then now you continue with the trade, thereby incurring almost zero drawdown. But now, in this instance where you have to increase you have to move down two pips, there you are actually making a trade-off. For one, because there is a lot of momentum going down, chances are that if you insist on the retest coming back all the way, it may not happen, and therefore you'll be missing on many opportunities. Then again, when you move down the 2 pips, then you are essentially also saying that, look here, I am willing to incur in the event that the retesting will want to come back all the way to the current high or current low. I am willing to incur that drawdown as a trade-off for ensuring that I'm in the trade. But ideally, when you are right at the current low or current high and you are triggered in, chances are that the drawdown will be minimal. So basically, let's look at it that way. Ordinarily, if you are to insist on remaining right on the line, if the pressure was too high, then you might miss out on actually getting into the trade, because it will come back. Because there is pressure going down, then it will come halfway and continue. You have missed out. But then to minimize on that, then that's why there is a need, because the break clearly you can see with your highs. Really, you can see with your highs there is a lot of momentum. Some of these things is what coach says eyeball. When you just look at it and you can see that there's a lot of pressure going down. So that tells you that chances of it coming back all the way may be minimal, and therefore that's why you are assisting it by adding those 2 pips. So that when it comes and touches you, it goes down. Even if it goes all the way up, you will incur some drawdown, but still you'll get back into trade and make your profit. Thank you.
Okay, we have 2 minutes. Okay, if there are no questions, I will go ahead and I will prepare the recording, share it in the group. So you'll have the recording between now and Wednesday. Review the recording, go to the charts and see if you can see those opportunities where we had the ascending and descending. Try and simulate this, okay? And that's what we had to do. We had to learn, and learning means going to the chart and actually digging it for ourselves. For you guys, you're lucky. We've actually done everything for you to make it easier. Yeah. So other than that, let me just say good night. We have less than a minute, but it was nice having you guys. Keep all the questions to Wednesday.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Good night.
Thank you.
Yep.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
No.
All right.